Hello and welcome to Volume 3 of Wrestling 20 Years Ago, and you're here in the land of Extreme. With you this month, Volume 1 is WCW. Volume 2 is in two parts. First part is Captain Carnage for the WWF, and part 2 is your usual TV and Rock Bottom. And it is that time of the year, which means it's the award shows. There will be a big old end of the year award show coming out as well. So loads to fill your boots with. Today we are joined by the one, the only Mr. Billy Johnson. How the devil are we, sir?
No, I'm good, thank you, sir. I've been enjoying my trip into the land of extreme this month.
As I say, I could only say at least you didn't get last month and that awful pay-per-view.
Oh no, no, no.
Yeah,
Thankfully.
it was very much November to forget, not November to remember. So, with it being December, we are doing a little bit of a special on the Patreon feed. Not only will you get the wrestling album show, which me and Eric have recorded, you will also get, for a very limited period of time, namely being I'll put it up at Boxing Day and take it down, or put it up on Christmas Eve and take it down at some point on Boxing Day, even, the WWF the wrestling album from 1984 I will put up on the Patreon feed for a 24-hour only. So if we get these out on time, you may actually hear that. If you're a Patreon, obviously you'll have access to that. But first things first, Billy, give me some headlines.
Okay, tag belts change hands in Japan.
So on December the 13th in the Korakuen Hall in Tokyo, on the FNW ECW Super Show, Sabu and RVD defeated the Dudley Boys to take their second tag team titles. We'll go into more details on this later on in the show.
Magazines are coming soon.
So, ECW have just inked a deal with a publisher to publish a bi-monthly magazine starting early next year. And also, in magazine news, the High Times magazine is doing a piece on RVD, which is what Heyman was referring to when he plugged on the 900 line, that Van Dam is in the midst of national controversy. Obviously, we all know Van Dam likes to smoke.
New opportunities in the running of ECW.
So, Mr. Heyman is bringing in people to run the business end of ECW so he can concentrate more on the booking side, where his real passion lies. We are yet to hear who and what people are coming in and what jobs they will be doing, but I will imagine we will hear more on this in the coming months.
And finally, the latest on New Jack.
So, the New Jack Eric Kulis story continues. New Jack faces up to 11 years in prison for assault and battery with a deadly weapon on the 17-year-old Kulis at the ECW show 2 years ago. At November's 1996 ECW event in Revere, Massachusetts, Kulis showed up for a tryout match. ECW say he lied about his age and his experience. His match was changed from a comedy match with midgets to a brawl with the gangsters. During the match, perhaps unbeknownst to Kulis, ahead of time, New Jack sliced open Kulis' forehead with a knife of some kind and jabbed him with a fork and broke a toaster over his head. ECW promoter Paul Heyman explained later that night to a reporter that the violent actions were part of Kulis' initiation into ECW and that Kulis would be back stronger than ever next time. Kulis, though, let out a blood-curdling scream when New Jack sliced open his forehead. His father, who was at ringside, screamed for the match to be stopped during a minute that followed the bloodletting cut. The ECW paramedic had panicked look on her face as she tried to stop the blood from gushing out of Kulis' forehead for several minutes afterwards. The puddle of blood lying on the mat needed to be mopped post-match. A videotape of the event, originally marketed by the independent company RF Videos, was ordered to be taken off sale by ECW as soon as it became clear the incident would be controversial. The Kulis family sought criminal charges against New Jack, and after 2 years of working through the court system, as of this month, a trial date was set. New Jack will be scheduled to face a jury trial beginning April the 7th in the Chelsea District Court. New Jack will likely argue his actions in commonplace in ECW, and because Kulis lied about his age and experience, it was caused by him, not New Jack, in the issue that went on. Again, this is an issue that's still rumbling on 2 years later, and I wonder what will come out of this at the end of the trial in April next year. Though one of the things I haven't put in the news on here, but it was mentioned on the dirt sheets, is that New Jack believes that he's getting looked at for a potential move to one of the big two. With that hanging over his head, I don't see it happening. So, Billy, out of the news, is there anything that you wanted to discuss?
No, not really. I think you covered it all there, Chris.
So, we will go into the TV for the month. And week one's TV opens up with Spike beating down Credible and his buddies. We then get a match between Mike Lazansky and RVD for the TV title. This is clipped together highlights. RVD wins after a split leg moonsault. Doring offers to fight Sabu and then changes his mind and puts Roadkill to fight Sabu. We get highlights of Terry Funk attacking Tommy Dreamer at a house show. We then get highlights again of the Dudleys, Big Dick, Bubba Ray, and Devon going against Balls Mahoney, Masato Tanaka, and Hank Myers. We see the Dudleys win with a 3D, and post-match, the Dudleys beat down everyone until out comes Axel Rotten with a barbed wire baseball bat. We get the main event, which is Sabu versus Roadkill. Sabu wins after a top rope leg drop through a table. At the end of the show, Cronus is shown challenging Shane, only for Taz to come out, beat him down, suplex him around, and look as though he has broken his neck. Was there anything out of week one that caught your imagination? I enjoyed the what we saw from the Mike Legowski RVD match. But yeah, this is one of those episodes of Hardcore TV that isn't helped by the fact of the splicing highlighted nature.
It was lots of clips in this weeks of TV. Can't say anything really caught my imagination. I enjoyed what we got to see of Lewansky and RVD. Good role for Roadkill to be in, working with Sabu, but it was a TV match, so it really didn't matter, and there was really nothing to it all, really, was there, really, the first week?
Not really. So we go into week two, which opens up with 3 headlines of breaking news, one of which being Shane broke his wrist in a match at a recent weekend's show. Another being the Dudleys assaulting a radio host. This seems to be worked because there was no indication of anything in the news on anywhere else. And the Sabu getting re-injured by Taz and the Dudleys, which we will cover more of that in a little while. First up, we get a tag match between Nova and Chessie and the FBI. And before the match, we find out there's a new member to the FBI in the one-man gang. Again, do you even have to be Italian to be in the FBI? Or are we going to secretly say that one-man gang has got some Italian roots? During the match, Nova is injured, so Chetty goes to the back and Tommy Dreamer comes out as his partner to finish the match. The FBI win the match after bent ref Jeff Jones doesn't count the 3 count after Dreamer and Chetty hit dueling finishers. Out comes Justin Credible, who canes Tommy. Tracy gets the roll up and the win. We then have Lance Storm in the ring saying that he's watched the Wrestling with Shadows video and he won't be screwed, so he won't be working. Mikey issues an open challenge, which brings out Ron Price. Mikey then runs off saying that he doesn't want to have a fight, he was wanting a wrestling match. Ron Price then opens an open challenge, and out comes New Jack. And as is tradition, New Jack brings his bin of weapons, beats the shit out of him with them, and wins the match after a top rope guitar shot. We then get arguably one of the matches of the month in a number one contenders match for the TV title between Justin Credible and Masato Tanaka. Tanaka takes the early advantage in the match with an armbar. Tanaka then hits a shoulder block and a reverse power slam powerbomb. Hits a top rope drop kick. Shane hits a super kick, but Tanaka back with some big elbows, and they both roll to the outside. Tanaka hits a leg sweep into the railings and a running chair shot. Back into the ring, Tanaka hits a beautiful drop kick and gets a 2. Justin manages to reverse a DDT into a reverse DDT onto a chair, into the corner for some chops and a second rope elbow drop, which gets a 2 count. He puts on a long headlock, and Tanaka finally gets his power up, hits a clothesline, goes up top with a chair, but Tanaka gets his foot up. Tanaka tries a tornado DDT, but that is reversed into a running DDT for Justin for a 2. Tanaka then hits a suplex stunner for a 2, a tornado DDT, but Jason breaks up the pin. He then kicks Tanaka, so Tanaka hits him with the DVD. Chastity comes in, tries to get in the way, but Tanaka kisses her. Justin waits only to cane with the cane, only for Tommy to come in and hit him first. Tanaka then hits a second rope rolling stunner for the big win. Seeing the fact this is one of the only matches of this month that we do a full match review on, Billy, how impressive is Tanaka?
Incredibly impressive. I sort of always writ him off really as just a deathmatch guy or blood and guts sort of wrestler because of, unfortunately, he's associated with FMW and he's been in a few video nasty matches. But had that really good match with Mike Awesome at Heatwave and another one here as well. Showed some incredible infighting spirit throughout and just incredible. Once again, proving that he can have really good matches, even if he's a bit of a shit.
Yeah, he is a rat-faced shitbag, but he does have interesting matches pretty much every time. I have to say, Tanaka's wonderful rolling stunner. When's Stone Cold going to try that one?
Oh, God, with his neck, probably never.
But yeah, at least we had a Tanaka match where he doesn't get pelted around the head with a fucking load of chairs.
Yeah, I don't really want to see that again, to be perfectly honest. It was a bit uneasy at times to see that sort of stuff.
Just the thing, I get that that's his big thing to take massive chair shots and, you know, how he sells them.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where I'm like, you don't have to do this in every single match. And
No,
thankfully,
it's probably not a good idea to do it in every single match either, Chris. You know,
yeah.
poor guy will not. Well, he will end up. Well, just he won't be able to string a sentence together like I'm having a problem doing. Maybe I've been concussed too many times.
So we follow that with a Fonzie promo where he says that if Sabu and RVD don't win the titles in Japan, he will split up the team. Nova is seen at the sink. Couldn't think what the word was there.
Just say bathroom.
Yes, there we go, in the bathroom, saying that he needs to take himself seriously as Stevie left him, Raven left him, and now Meanie's left him.
Oh.
We then get the Dudleys. So what you've just heard there is the Dudleys obviously telling us they're going to go to Japan for the biggest match in the world. They won't lay down and they break up tag teams. They've broken up the Gangsters, the Eliminators, and next will be RVD and Sabu. And then to end the show, we see Justin asking if he and Tommy have got a problem, if that is his new hot thing, and that the company is all in his hands. He blames Chastity for the loss against Tanaka because she dared to not be in a flannel shirt. So week two's TV out of the way. Obviously, we've discussed the main part of the show, which was the number one contenders match.
Yeah.
But anything with obviously, one man gang being Italian and
The man from
Jack
Chicago
being
that's
New Jack.
Italian. I think Justin Credible had a pretty sweet looking South Park shirt on. That was probably about the. Again, his TV show really hasn't given us much to talk about because there really wasn't anything of importance going on in this show. It was just sort of a few weeks of building up the main event, which will be happening next year at Guilty as Charged.
Yeah, it's just more sort of going towards the Taz stuff with Taz, Shane, and Sabu, and obviously, any bit more of that. So we are off live via satellite for week three's TV, where we are in Tokyo, Japan, in the Korakuen Hall. Unfortunately, we only get highlights of both the matches on this show, which is rather annoying because I would have preferred to see the full things. But we open with an ECW title match between Shane Douglas and Gato. Again, this is quite heavily highlight package style, where you don't even see full scenes. It is literally sort of, they did this move, splice next set of, they did this move, splice next set. What we do know is Shane won the match after hitting a Fisherman Buster, and that Japanese commentary overpowers Joey Styles. We follow that up with RVD and Sabu in the back. Fonzie saying that he will split the team up if they lose, and RVD says that he's going to win the belts and make sure the team don't disappear. We then, for some unknown reason, get highlights of Mickey versus Jerry Lynn from a house show back in the States. Storm comes out during this match and helps Jerry Lynn win after smacking a chair across Mikey's head. And again, for unknown reasons for why I don't know, they re-show the whole of the Tanaka versus Mike Awesome match from Heatwave 98. Not complaining, it was a really good match, but I don't know why we had to have the whole thing here. We then get the main event of the evening, where the Dudleys defend the tag team titles against RVD and Sabu. Again, annoyingly so, only highlights, but what we do see is a very interesting match between the two of them. RVD getting the win after hitting a double Van Daminator against Bubba and getting the pin. So, after last year's wonderful FMW show where they showed full matches of some of the bigger matches and highlights of the rest of the whole show, they've not given us much to work with this year from the Japan tour.
Unfortunately not. But then I think it was like only Tommy Dreamer, the Dudleys, Sabu, Rob Van Dam, and Douglas were the only ones that went out there.
Yeah, they didn't take a full crew this year. Last year, they took a few more of their guys. But instead of getting the Tanaka and Awesome match again, as I said, it is a good match and was a highlight of Heatwave.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer to get the whole of the RVD Sabu Douglas match, or whole of the Gato Douglas match.
Yeah, because I did like the way that they took the show basically to Japan via satellite. I like the whole look of it. It looked different to what you would on a traditional American wrestling show. And I think if they had more of it, it would have been great. But for whatever reason, I think it might be something to do with on FMW's end, they might have be recording it for a VHS release or something along those lines. And they might not want ECW to be showing the entire match. So that's why, unfortunately, we ended up with the clip form. But no, the Dudleys versus RVD and Sabu, from what I saw of it in clip form, it's definitely made me want to go and search on the internet to see if I can pick up a VHS of it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on the back of Power Slam for the old tape trading lists of if this one comes up.
I'm sure that
Uh,
bloke Rob will have it for sale on his website.
Probably, but you're lucky if you can get the internet around your way. My dial-up modem, I daren't try and use it for too long.
It'll probably take me 3 hours to order the cassette, but I'm damn it, I'm going to try.
So we end the month with the last week's TV and open the show with Taz interrupting Joey Styles, says that he will get Sabu, and Sabu's owed receipt number 3. We then have Jason coming out with Chastity, or Justin coming out with Jason and Chastity, even. A fan gets into a cat fight with Chastity as they're walking to the ring. Justin then canes Chastity. The other woman then gets in the ring. Bob Ortiz, the ring announcer, tries to save Chastity, but Jason canes him too. Tommy then comes out to make the save, only for Terry Funk to come down. He runs down Tommy, calling him Yeller. They then all beat down Tommy, and Funk then says that Justin is his new protege. We then get a match between Yoshihiro Tajiri and Antifez del Dinotro. Again, only in highlight form, but what we see, this is fucking amazing. And these two, can we make sure they stay for a while? Because I want to see more of them. Tajiri wins after a beautiful dragon suplex. Then we get my personal highlight of the month. Hoot is backstage, and Danny Doring comes up to him saying he's not sure who's his dad because the Rock and Roll Express double teamed his mum back in the 80s. But as Danny is a brunette, he thinks that Hoot's his dad. You'll hear that now.
That was tremendous. That was a tremendous segment.
That I think that wins my segment of the month by a mile. Just
Even when
it's one of those randomly I mark out when I see Hoot anyway. I love the Rock and Roll Express. They fill me with such sort of nostalgia to
yes,
bad territory wrestling. But Danny Doring is a fucking comedial genius with how he reacts and comes out with the whole hand symbols and it's just great.
it's just like Gibson, like completely no selling it as well, and the look on his face as
Yeah.
he's trying to no sell what Danny Dory is saying. I'm sure they all had a good laugh when the camera was turned off. But this was definitely the highlight of of week 3, wasn't it?
So following that, we get a match for the TV title between RVD and Balls Mahoney. We come into the match mid-action. RVD hits a crossbody. Balls with a clothesline to the outside. Both of them outside and brawling. RVD hits the railings. They then go into the crowd. RVD hits a springboard moonsault off the railings. He then goes back into the ring, only to go up top and hit a somersault cannonball all the way into the crowd. Both of them back into the ring, and RVD hits the 5-star frog splash, only to get a 2. RVD then kicks Balls. Balls then hits a short arm clothesline, a slam, and goes up top and hits a frog splash of his own for a 2. Balls with some big punches and a corner splash. RVD misses the Van Daminator and hits the ref instead. Big stiff lariat by Balls, followed by a super kick to the chair. He goes up for a second rope leg drop, but misses and lands on the chair instead. RVD then eats a pile driver onto the chair, and that gets a 2. RVD hits a super side kick to a chair, and then Balls hits a nutcracker sweep for a 2. Big chair shot for a 2, and then Fonzie breaks up the pin by lobbing the chair at Balls. Van Dam then hits the Van Daminator and the 5-star frog splash to a chair to get the win. Finally, I know we missed the very beginning of it, but at least we get a solid portion of a match.
Yes, exactly. We really needed a match after sitting through weeks of TV of just like you said, highlights and clip for matches.
To
I,
say we've the only sort of full match we see from start to finish this month is the Justin and Tanaka match. This is the second closest we get where we miss the very beginning, but as
my
soon
God,
as we come into it, everything is full for the rest of it.
yes, it was definitely worth it. It was worth the wait, really. I've always sort of never really rated Balls Mahoney. I've always sort of seen him as a gimmick more than anything, but here he was like really good. I was quite shocked. He was able to keep up with Rob Van Dam, and yeah, there was obviously the lots of nasty looking chair shots in this match, and there was I felt sorry for poor old referee John Finnegan for his bloody nose, but I was like generally quite blown away, and that he's such a good worker. I was quite surprised.
See, it's the one thing that I've noticed over the past sort of a couple of months, since he's been teaming up with Tanaka, that Balls has been having some really fucking good matches. And if he gets away from just the walking brawl and just chair shots for the sake of chair shots, he has a lot to offer. You know,
Yes.
you could arguably put him in the Fed in the mid card, and he would be a good base for everyone else to sort of get a win over. You'd put him against
Yeah.
Owen and he'd make Owen look good. You put him against Shamrock and he'd make Shamrock look good. Obviously, his image
Hmm.
makes you think, oh, he's just nothing but like a rubbish hardcore wrestler because he does just wear jean shorts, a Marilyn Manson t-shirt and a dodgy leotard underneath it, and I'm just like, you're not making yourself look sort of sellable to the big boys, but he has got a lot to offer.
Yeah, definitely he could fit in with the Fed because obviously everyone sort of wears black jean shorts or black trousers now in the Fed anyway. But obviously it'd be a quite solid like little mid card hand there. It'd probably fit quite well in with the job squad.
Exactly. So the last bit of action we have this month is a FTW title match between Taz and Sabu. Taz opens strong with a fucking nasty German Tazplex. Sabu somehow manages to get up from that and hit a clothesline and gets 2 counters, slingshot sidekick for a 2. A table's put in the corner and Taz is whipped into the table. Sabu follows through with a leg drop. Outside on another table, Sabu hits a triple jump splash through it. Back into the ring, Taz smashes Sabu with what's left of said table. They go back outside. Sabu smashed into the railings, and then they battle into the crowd. Taz lobs Sabu off the bleachers and then into the wall around the back of the building, back into the ring, clubbing his way as he goes. Sets up another table in the corner, back in the ring. Sabu uses a chair for air Sabu. Taz grabs him and hits a Dragon Tazplex through the table. Fonzie throws in the towel. At this point, I was watching this with my missus, and she looked at me and went, if that hasn't broken his neck, he is fucking lucky. Because that is a sick fucking
Well,
table shot.
he landed directly on the top of his forehead and then sort of broke the table with his feet by the momentum that he went over. It just looked absolutely devastating. Oh, it was the one. It was the first one though that made me like wince. I just like Jesus, Sabu. You're a crazy man for taking that and just the explosiveness of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's their gimmicks, isn't it? Taz is the suplex machine, and Sabu is the crazy arsehole that will basically take anything.
Quite happily take it. To finish the match, Taz lies down and pulls Sabu on top of him for the win, meaning we have a new FTW champ in Sabu.
Now, this generally confused me because I'm right in saying at Guilty as Charged, the main event is going to be Sabu versus Taz versus Shane Douglas, correct?
At this point, it's not been announced as that.
Right.
It's still being promoted as Sabu versus Shane.
Okay.
But with coming out of this week's TV and everything that's been going on so far, it would not surprise me if that's what they go with.
Right, because I generally um was I can't say within the 4 weeks that I watched, they never really did announce a match, but with Sabu pinning Shane 3 times and Taz being there, I assumed okay, they're going the triple threat route. But so why would Taz want to give up his FTW title to Sabu if he isn't guaranteed to have a world title shot? I know I haven't been watching enough of ECW, so that's
Well,
probably my own fault.
originally it was Shane had asked Taz basically because he had Taz. Shane knew that Taz or Sabu was going to be his opponent at the pay per view.
Right.
That between the end of November to Remember and Guilty as Charged, if Taz could take out and break Sabu, he can have a title match. He can have Francine. He can basically have whatever he wants. Just break Sabu.
Well, ECW always, whenever I've dropped in and out of ECW, they've always done a number of video packages explaining this. But this month they just didn't seem to explain, and I'm very unaware of really what's going on, Chris.
Yeah, it seems to be one of those. If you missed a month, you'd be lost. But yeah, obviously there was a few rumors going around in the dirt sheets that the pay per view plans have changed dramatically in the last few weeks.
Okay. Typical Heyman.
So obviously, with nothing being concrete, obviously what we do know going into the pay per view is that we're going to get Tommy versus Justin. We know we're going
Okay.
to get Tanaka versus RVD, and as advertised is Sabu versus Shane.
Right.
But obviously, everything can change. Cards are subject to change,
Oh
and
yes, yes, yes.
is the famous line that gets said around these sort of things. So yeah, let's see what we get on the 10th of January next year,
Yeah,
because what we
sorry.
get may be very different to what we think we were gonna get.
Well, it's definitely got me intrigued, but at the same time, I'm still a little bit confused as to the direction and where they seem to be going. But no, I suppose that's ECW at times, isn't it?
Pretty much. So with that last month's worth of tally, obviously we did speak about the RVD and Bulls match, obviously, and the brutality at the end of the Sabu and Taz. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up after everything this month?
Um, no, I think I've sort of asked my questions, and I've enjoyed again delving into the world of ECW for December, and I'll probably go out of my way to order the pay per view or get the video cassette tape.
That, or I might just get you on here for next month to, give you our access.
Oh, perfect. You can send me the videotape via snail mail.
Exactly. Well, I might get you a first class delivery.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Chris.
Get it a bit sooner. So that leaves me with thank you, Billy, for joining us on this much shorter than usual deluge through the world of Extreme. Um, it's not been the biggest of months for us, so we can't stretch out too much if there's not really much to go on.
Yeah, I do apologise. I wish I could add more insight, but there just wasn't really much for us to really cover here, was there? Really?
No, it wasn't the biggest of months, but we did have a big show from you for last month's November to Forget show. So, and we are one of 5 shows this month. So, just as a reminder, Volume 1 is WCW and Starcade. Volume 2, Part 1 is Capital Carnage for the WWF. Volume 2, Part 2 is the normal TV and Rock Bottom pay-per-view. Obviously, we're here in ECW, and you also have the big end of year award show, which should be mass amounts of fun with all of us on. Is there anything that you would like to pimp and share with the world there, Mr. Billy, before we go?
Yes, you can follow me on the Twitter machine at Billy_J83. And if you like a bit of British wrestling, then you're more than welcome to go on the Twitter machine and follow at BritRest Review, where we've got lots of results and other cool stuff and things for you to like over there.
And if you like my musings, obviously go to Show and Tell with Tunes. This month alone, we are pretty much guest hosts all the way through. Rory is on the Christmas special. Eric's on with a bluegrass special of the band that he's brought along to play. There's just loads of fun and games, and as it is the end of the year, there is also my 20 albums of the year countdown shows as well. So obviously, if you like music and want a free playlist every weekend, look at Show and Tell with Tunes on iTunes, SoundCloud, and all those other wonderful places that you find these things. And as always, if you want these shows as soon as they are recorded and edited, Patreon specials, free albums at Christmas, and for the grand sum of $1 for early access and $5 for exclusive free extra shows, go to Patreon/Wrestling20YRS. And as I said, for as little as $1, you get early access as soon as the shows are recorded. And for $5, you get the bonus shows and occasionally me chucking weird and wonderful freebies up there that I have access to on the computer. And, with it being the season of giving, we would much appreciate it as if you would like to just give us that gift for all the extra content that we give you. So that leads me to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and have a wonderful 1999. And until next time, goodbye.